Rupa Goswami were able to taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness. So without these two devotees, it is not possible to come to the conclusion, to understand the conclusion of the Vaishnava literatures. And without the mercy of these wonderful devotees, it is not possible for us to taste the nectar of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, every day we must glorify these devotees. We must remember them as the agents of mercy. So therefore, singing these songs to seek their blessings is necessary. So anyway, everybody is welcome to today's section. We still have a number of slides to cover for this lesson 5. But we hope today and tomorrow we should be able to finish lesson 5. And then next week, we should be able to finish lesson 6 so that we can draw the curtains for the study of the section of the nectar of devotion. Actually, we're only scratching a small part of the nectar of devotion, because the nectar of devotion has several chapters. There are several chapters. Actually, it has 54 chapters, I guess, 51 chapters. 51 chapters. But we're only doing up to the 19th chapter. Up to the 19th chapter, and then we end there. So from the 20th chapter to the 51st chapter, we have to study it on our own if we want to understand the science of devotional service. Bhakti Sastri only give us an introduction into this science of Krishna. But this should give us the taste. This should give us the inspiration. This should inspire us to study the whole science of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So today we are beginning with slide 16. We ended with 15 the last week. So we're starting with 16. If Salika Prabhu will share with us the slide 16. Hopefully we can get to 30, 31, 32, probably 33 before the end of this lesson. So this slide says the purpose of Vanacari, when one has no outside desire, but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as a pure devotee. The conditioned souls who have come into contact with the material world are all more or less desirous of lording it over material nature. The system of Vanacari and the prescribed duties under this system are so designed that the conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world according to his desire for sense gratification. And at the same time, gradually become elevated to the spiritual understanding. So, in the spiritual world, there is no Varnashrama Dharma. There is no Varnashrama Dharma in the spiritual world because everyone is a servant of Krishna. Even in Satya Yuga, there is no Varnashrama Dharma because there was Ekar Varna. Everybody was a pure servant of Krishna. So there was no need for Varna Ashrama. Whereas the Yuga advances and degrades into Treta Yuga, Dwarapa Yuga, and Kali Yuga, that Ekar Varna or one Varna became deteriorated. And so there's a need for the different Varnas. There is no Varna in the spiritual world because everyone is a pure devotee. Everyone is engaged in Krishna's service. So, among pure devotees, there is no Varna because everyone is simply working for Krishna's pleasure. So therefore, as it is said here, the Varna Ashrama Dharma is present in the material world, is instituted in the material world in order to gradually bring people to the platform of purity. In the Vishnu Purana, it is mentioned, Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parapumam. Vishnu Aradhyate Panta Nanyatatusha Karakaha. The Supreme Personality of God in Lord Sri Vishnu is worshipped by a person who is engaged in the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashram. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Lord in this world but by performing Varna and Ashrama. Furthermore, it is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ata Pumbir Dvijasreshtas, Varnashrama Vibhaga Saha. Sanustitasya Dharmasya Samsiddhim Haritoshanam. Samsiddhim Haritoshanam. O best of the twice born. It is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste divisions and orders of life is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Samsiddhim Haritoshanam. So actually the purpose of Varna Ashrama Dharma is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a need to divide people according to their Varna, their quality, and there's a need to divide people according to their Ashrama. But all this is done for the purpose of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Among pure devotees, among exalted devotees, this is not required. There's no need for Varna, there's no need for Ashrama. But among the conditioned souls who are endowed with different qualities and who have different inclinations towards the material energy, there is a need to categorize the living entities and gradually bring them to the platform of pure bhakti. So therefore, Varnashrama Dharma is so designed that the conditioned soul may enjoy the material world according to his desire for sense gratification, and at the same time, gradually become elevated to the spiritual understanding. So there are two types of Varnashramas. There is Asuric Varnashrama and there is Daiva Varnashrama. Asuric Varnashrama means that Varnashram Dharma which is not meant for serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is called Asuric, demonic. And Daiva Varnashrama means divine. Is actually meant for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anything that is connected to Krishna also becomes divine. Even in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Krishna says this divine energy of mine, he was describing Maya, the illusory energy. He said this divine energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. So the material world, though it may appear material for the conditioned soul, it is actually related to Krishna. It comes from Krishna. And because it is related to Krishna, it is also divine. So anything that is connected to Krishna is divine. And anything not connected to Krishna is simply illusion, is demonic. So there are two types of Varnashram Dharma, Asuric Varnashram Dharma and Daivi Varnashram Dharma. In Krishna consciousness, we practice Daivi Varnashram Dharma. Those activities that are meant for the pleasure of Krishna. We can go to the next slide. Actually, slide 17 and 18. Slide 17 and 18, becoming fit to serve the Lord. Somebody can read this.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Never pronounce. Slide 17.
Yes.
Becoming fit to serve the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service. He says that persons who are neophytes and who have developed a little love of God that are not interested in the activities of self-gratification in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still some attraction for self-gratifying activities, then the result of such activities should be offered to Krishna. This is also called engagement in the service of the Lord, with the Lord as the master and the worker as the servant. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You can also read 18.
18. Becoming a dear devotee of the Lord. The devotee who has confidence in devotional service to the Lord systematically follows the rules and regulations with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. A second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita, the people in general, is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Welcome,
so in the slide 17, Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service. He says that persons who are neophytes and who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still some attraction for sense gratifying activities, then the result of such activities should be offered to Krishna. This is called engagement in the service of the Lord, with the Lord as the master and the worker as the servant. In other words, there are different categories of devotees. We have the pure devotees, and we have the mixed devotees. Those who are pure, they have no other desire for sense gratification. Their activities are simply meant for pleasing Krishna. But those who are not yet pure, there is still some inclination towards trying to gratify the senses. So sometimes they wait for Krishna, sometimes they wait for themselves. So this is called mixed devotional service. Actually, we have Kama Misra Bhakta, which is a person whose devotional service is mixed with fruitive activities. And we have Jnana Misra Bhakta, one whose devotional service is mixed with speculative knowledge. And then we have the Sudha Bhaktas. Sudha Bhaktas, the pure devotees, who are neither inclined to fruitive activity or inclined to mental speculation. So, but the important thing is that everyone must be engaged in devotional service, because that's the process that will gradually bring us to the platform of Sudha Bhakta or Sudha Bhakti, pure devotional service. In the 18, slide 18 says, becoming a dear devotee of the Lord, the devotee who has confidence in devotional service to the Lord systematically follows the rules and regulations, and with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. The second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Lord accepts a preacher as the most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confidential message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can be equal to him in human society. So this is the topmost devotee, one who sacrifices everything in order to spread the message of the Lord. He becomes very, very dear to the Lord. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned, Mora Putra Mora Sakaha, Mora Pranapati. E bave ye Mora Kare Shuddha Bhakti, Apaneka Badamane Amara Samahina, Se bave ha ami Tanara Adina. If one cherishes pure devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, his friend, or his beloved, regarding himself as great, and considering me his equal or inferior, and become subordinate to such a devotee. So Krishna is speaking, says, if one cherishes pure devotional service, he cherishes rendering pure loving devotion to me, thinking of me as his son, thinking of me as his friend, thinking of me as his beloved, considering himself to be equal to me or even superior to me. Krishna accepts such mood, such attitude of a devotee. So the process of bhakti is to become intimate with the Supreme Lord. And in order to become intimate with the Supreme Lord, one has to learn to think of him. And to think of somebody means you must learn to serve him. The more you serve someone, the more you think of him. So the process of bhakti is actually meant to make us think of Krishna more and more and more. And by thinking of Krishna more and more and more, we can become his friend, we can become his parent, we can become his lover, we can become his servant, and so on. So therefore, Krishna is saying one who cherishes this process of bhakti, which means to think of Krishna. Manmana bhava mam bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru. Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita. Manmana, always think of me. Mam yaji, always worship me. Mam namaskuru, always offering obeisances unto me. This is the way to become a devotee of Krishna. You think of Krishna, you worship Krishna, you offer obeisances to Krishna, you serve Krishna. And this way, one can become a dear devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no other way to approach the Supreme except by the process of bhakti. Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatvantaha. Krishna is saying Bhagavad Gita. There is no other way one can know me. There's no other way one can be close to me. There's no other way you can understand me except by the process of bhakti. And those who share this knowledge of bhakti, those who take on the preaching mission, those who sacrifice everything to spread the science of Krishna, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, becomes very, very dear to the Lord. And Krishna himself declared that in Bhagavad Gita. Becomes very dear to the Lord. So what are we waiting for? If Krishna has told us that you can become dear to me by taking up this preaching mission, by sacrificing everything for spreading the glories of Bhagavad Gita, if Krishna has kindly revealed this to us, then what are we waiting for? We should immediately grab the opportunity in order to become very dear to the Lord. In fact, one Acharya says, from birth to death, the living entity is working very hard for what he has not brought into this world, and for what he cannot take away. That is the illusion of this world. We are born into this world, we came with nothing, but we work very hard to acquire the whole world, which we cannot also take away. So in between birth and death, the living entity is illusioned to work very hard, thinking that he will be the best, he will be most successful. But at the end of it all, it becomes zero. You come with zero, you go with zero. So what is the hard work for? Just to make some name. But that name will not save you from the Yamadutas. It will not. It will not. That name will be left behind here. Name and fame will not save you from the hands of Yamaraj. All that will be left behind. What you really take away is your devotional credits. That is what Yamaraj is looking at. That is what the Yamadutas are looking at. How did you use your time in the service of Krishna? Yamadutas are not looking at how many degrees you acquired, how much money you acquired, how much fame you acquired, how much influence you had in the material world. The Yamadutas, they don't look at that at all. They're looking at what service do you do for Krishna? What do you really achieve in this world in devotional service? So becoming a dear devotee of the Lord is very, very important, very crucial for all intelligent men. Anyone who claims to be intelligent must understand that my only business is service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there is no service more dear than taking the baton, picking up the responsibility of distributing this knowledge of Krishna consciousness far and wide. And that is the only way. Krishna recognizes us very easily. If you want to be recognized by Krishna very easily, then take up the preaching mission. Any devotee who takes up the preaching mission very seriously, he becomes empowered. Krishna does not waste time with that. So if we want to be empowered by Krishna, then we must take up this preaching mission very seriously. And that's the most important thing in life. All that we are struggling for will be left behind for others to enjoy. And they will not even appreciate you when you are gone. They will insult you and say many things against you. But your devotional credits, nobody can take. Those credits is what you depend on as soon as you leave this body. When this body is finished, you will begin to depend on your spiritual credits because those will go with you. So for any intelligent man, taking to the preaching mission is supreme, is prime, important. And that is the way we can become dear to Krishna. If you want to be dear to Krishna, you want to enter Krishna's good books, then you must take up this preaching and do it very vigorously. In a few years, a few months, you attract Krishna's attention. We can go to slide 19 if there are no questions or comments. Slide 19, if there are no comments. If there are comments or questions, they are welcome. Somebody can read this slide.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Becoming a prospective candidate for devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami says that a neophyte devotee who has simply developed a slight love of Godhead is certainly a prospective candidate for devotional service. When he becomes firmly fixed in such devotional service, that assured status becomes a confidential part of his devotional service.
Thank you. So, Rupa Goswami is saying here that we can simply develop a slight attraction for the service of Krishna, slight attraction. That is a qualification for becoming a prospective candidate for Bhakti. And we can develop a slight attraction, slight love, slight pity, priti vancha. Anyone who is rendering service to Krishna for Krishna's pleasure, that is called priti vancha. Krishnendriya priti vancha. When the living entity engages in the service of Krishna, when the living entity's activities are directed towards this pleasure of Krishna's senses, that is called priti vancha. It's called love of God. But when the living entity performs services for his own senses, Atma Indriya is called karma. It's called lust. So we have a choice. We have a choice to work for Krishna's pleasure, and that will develop into priti, love. And we have the choice to remain stubborn and only engage in the pleasure of our senses. And the result is karma, lust. And as we all know, lust is said to be the greatest enemy of the living entity in this material world. So who wants to embrace an enemy? Nobody. But that is what we are doing. By serving our senses, by pursuing sense gratification very vigorously, we are actually embracing the greatest of our enemies, lust. And no matter how much we try to satisfy lust, lust cannot be satisfied. It burns like fire. One devotee says, despite my loyalty, I've served lust, I've served these senses very loyally, very dedicatedly all my life, but they never appreciate. And they never give me any respite. They never give me any chance to be free. The more I serve them, the more they want to be served. The more I try to give pleasure to lust and the senses, the more they demand. But somehow, by the great fortune, my great fortune, I run into the devotee of the Lord. And now my mind has now been diverted to the service and the lotus feet of Krishna. So, a slight love, a slight priti, a slight attachment in devotional service makes us prospective candidates for rendering service to Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please, I have a question.
Yes, what is your question?
In a situation, the scripture stated that 4 types of people, they come to Krishna.
And they approach him, yes.
Yes, they approach him. And among them, person in search of wealth.
Yes. There are 4. One who is in misery, is going through a lot of distress. One who is after wealth. One who is inquisitive, and one who is in knowledge.
So nowadays, maybe because of the hardship, which was, of course, caused by this materialistic desires, but when they approach us, they are more centered about financial improvement. So now to turn such a person out into a devotional service, or it's like it's like the distance is very far, because first of all, his financial problems has to be solved before he can now have the capacity to want to render service. But generally, they are so eager, just this materialistic desire, wealth. So the preaching appears a bit more difficult this time.
Yes, I agree. In Kali Yuga, it's very difficult to preach because the standard of life or the goal of everyone is to become wealthy. Everyone's money. Money has become the goal of life, and everybody is working towards it. Whether fair or foul, they don't care. So long as I have money, I'm okay. That is the culture of Kali Yuga. And so even when people go to church, they go to the mosque, they go to the synagogue, they go to the temple, they go to a spiritual gathering, behind their mind, their motive is how they can improve their financial situation. That is a fact. So Srila Prabhupada says, such people are pious. When Krishna himself also says so. Yeah, they are pious. Because he said that when a demon is in trouble, he doesn't approach the Supreme Lord. He becomes more demonic. But a pious person, when he's in trouble, he thinks, let me approach God. So therefore, those who approach Krishna with their problems for financial emancipation, out of curiosity, out of knowledge, they are all described as Sukritinam, pious people. That is there. So we have to gradually cultivate such people. We have to gradually educate such people and take them from one level to another level to another level. It may take many years. It may even take many lives. We should not forget that we ourselves, we are going through this process. Maybe in a previous life, we are on some level. And this life, we are on a different level. That is there. So when we speak like this, we are just speaking to our inner circle of devotees. If you speak like this in a public forum, you may not get people to follow you because they have come with their basket full of desires, and they are hoping that these desires will be fulfilled by coming to God. So if you go preaching this philosophy, they will just leave you. So therefore, they need to be encouraged. Now, whatever they want from Krishna, that's okay. They should add devotional service to it. And gradually, even if it doesn't happen in this life, in the next life, it will happen. Gradually guide them, let them become committed to chanting the holy name. Gradually increase their faith. Let them accept the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Let them be connected to the process. engage them, let them use their efforts, the results of their activities in serving the Lord. Encourage them to begin the process of bhakti. That is important. That is a preacher. A preacher should know the different categories of your students and be able to reach out to them according to their level. We do not expect everyone to just be on the same platform at once, no. But the ultimate goal is to become a resident of Vrindavan. The ultimate goal is to follow the footsteps of the devotees of Vrindavan. And so we should also project that. We should amplify that, especially for devotees like you who are studying the scriptures and trying to understand deeply the essence of scriptures. These things should be highlighted. And so that is why we are emphasizing on these points. But I will not speak like this in the Sunday program because there are different categories of people there. And if you speak like this, you may scare them off and they may not come back and continue their little by little investment in bhakti. So we have to deal with them accordingly. There is a verse here, Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prema Suryamsu Samya Bak Ruchibes Chita Mashmyakrit Asau Bhava Ochate. When devotional service is situated on the transcendental plane of pure goodness, it is like a ray of the sunlight of love for Krishna. At such a time, devotional service causes the heart to be softened by various tastes. And this is called bhava. So this is where we want to take people to. We want to take people to the platform of Sudha Bhakti, Sudha Bhave, the platform of Bhava. So we can begin devotional service from any level, from any platform we can start. But the end result should be, we should reach that level of Sudha Bhava, where one experiences the ecstasy of serving the Lord. Devotional service is a process of ecstasy. It's a process of joy. But you cannot achieve that joy in one day, in 1 month, in 1 year, sometimes not even in one life. But definitely, devotional process, devotional service is avyayam, karatam avyayam. It is a pleasurable process. It's a pleasurable process. And so the desire should be to reach this transcendental platform. The desire should be to have an experience, a taste of Krishna consciousness. So one should have firm faith in the blissful narrations of the Lord's pastimes. One should engage in chanting the glories of the holy name. One should perform service with the body for the pleasure of Krishna. And one should reject all material desires that lead to sense gratification and bondage. So this is the process by which one can come to the transcendental platform. One should have firm faith in the blissful narrations of the pastimes of the Lord. One should engage in chanting the holy names of the Lord on a daily basis without fail. One must engage his body in the service of the Lord, and one must reject all material desires that lead to sense gratification and bondage. If one acts like this, then certainly he would come to the pure platform. And it's only on that pure platform one can actually begin to appreciate the greatness of Bhakti. Bhakti is very great because by Bhakti, one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is Parama Ishwara. Sarva Ishwara, Sarva Ishwaraya. He is a supreme. Everyone is under him. Everything is under Krishna's control. Yet, Krishna becomes subservient. Krishna agrees to be subordinate to his devotee. How is that? Because of bhakti, because of love. So the price we have to pay will not be a very cheap one. The price to develop love of God, the price for bhakti is not very cheap. So therefore, we must develop faith in the pastimes of the Lord. We must constantly chant the holy names of the Lord on a daily basis. We must engage our bodies in the service of the Lord. And we must reject desires that lead to sense gratification and bondage. Then we can come to the platform of becoming a prospective candidate for devotional service. We can go to slide 20. Slide 20. 20. The behavior of a Raganuga Bhakta. Sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve him as a confidential friend. Such friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as Raganuga or spontaneous. Although, according to regulatory principles, no one can lie down in the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This spontaneous love of Godhead may be grouped under devotional service and friendship. So there are a number of symptoms that manifest in the body of a pure devotee, Raganuga Bhakta. Crying, shedding tears, singing very loudly, dancing very madly, hairs on the body standing on end like thorns, rolling on the ground out of ecstasy. These are the symptoms of bhava, one who is experiencing ecstasy in his body, in his soul, in his mind, in his heart. There are symptoms. So, it is mentioned here that when a pure devotee lies in the temple room or rolls in the temple room out of spontaneous love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is done under friendship. Of course, we must be wary of sahajas. Sahajas means people who are not really developed to that level, but they pretend. They make a show of devotional service simply because they want some cheap popularity, some cheap fame. But a genuine devotee who has actually practiced sadhana bhakti, vaidhi bhakti, seriously, intensely, will begin to experience some of the symptoms of bhava, including singing very loudly and dancing without regard to public, crying, shedding tears incessantly, laughing, and rolling on the ground. So these are symptoms of bhava. But one must have been practicing bhakti before he can come to this level. Nobody can just come to the temple and then fall down and roll on the ground. Or somebody is very sinful, he's still attached to mundane sex, attached to mundane pleasure, and then comes into the temple room and roll on the ground. It's a show.
Hello. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I am at the gate, Prabhu.
So we have to be wary of such pretenders. One has to go through the process of bhakti. One has to become purified. One has to give up material sense gratification. One has to be completely aloof because he's experiencing a deeper level of pleasure. And even then, he will not want to demonstrate these things. Actually, it is said that one should protect his mantra, one should conceal his mantra, and one should conceal his ecstasy. One should not display his mantras in public or display his ecstasy in public. So an actual devotee will not want to demonstrate these things in public, except that sometimes it happens without his control. It happens without his control. Sometimes people will see Srila Prabhupada shedding tears. It happens without his control. Prabhupada doesn't want to cry in front of the disciples, but because of his love for Krishna, because the ecstasy he's experiencing, it happens automatically. So we have to be careful that people who are not spiritually advanced take advantage of these symptoms and try to become popular by such activity. That is called sahaja. We go to text slide 21-22. Somebody like to read this?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Text 21. Complete surrender to the Lord. A person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activity is protected by me personally, both in this life and in the next. In other words, I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved Ashna, having equal opulences with the Supreme. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, 29, 34.
The next slide, 22. Next slide.
Next slide, text 22. Srila Bhaktivinoda set the example. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a nice song in this connection, whilst offering himself as a fully surrendered soul. He said, my mind, my household affairs, my body, whatever is in my possession, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me. You can kill me, or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is very interesting. That slide 21 says, a person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activities is protected by me personally, both in this life and the next. In other words, I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved Sastri, having equal opulence with the Supreme Lord. And then in the 22, it says, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung a nice song in this connection. While offering himself as a fully surrendered soul, he said, my mind, my household affairs, my body, whatever is in my possession, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me, or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own. So this is the of surrender of a devotee like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate. He was engaged in the service of the British government as a magistrate. And in those days, even a magistrate, also like the district chief executive, the magistrate was the political authority on the ground. So he was like the administrator of the district, at the same time, the supreme judge of the district. So he was engaged in so-called material activity. He was engaged in activities. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was such a great Vaishnava. He was a householder. He was such a great Vaishnava that from this we can see his level of consciousness. My mind, my household affairs, my body, whatever is in my possession, oh my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me, or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own. So these are the symptoms of surrender. Anuklasya sankalpa, pratiklasya varjanam, rakshishi tityati vishwaso, goptritve haranam tata. Adma Nikshepa Karpanye Sadvida Sharanagati. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, and the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master. Full surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord and great humility. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is exhibiting that great humility and full surrender. He says, you can give me protection if you like. Says, you are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me. Or if you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own. So this is Danya, humility, surrender, Sharanagati. So in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Krishna is demanding Sarva Dharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharana Vraja. So everyone should surrender unto me. Krishna is demanding complete surrender. So abandon all varieties of religion, abandon all varieties of activities, abandon all varieties of knowledge, abandon all varieties of yoga, and just surrender unto me. It's a very strong instruction. And that's just about the last instruction Krishna gave in Bhagavad Gita. So this complete surrender is the ultimate goal. It may not happen today. It may not happen tomorrow. But we should have that desire in our mind that one day I should be able to surrender completely to the Supreme Lord and depend on his direction, guidance, and protection. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is exemplifying here. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is described as the 7th Goswami. The 7th Goswami. We have 6 Goswamis during Mahaprabhu's time who went to excavate Vrindavan, who actually rediscovered Vrindavan and wrote all these books we are studying now. But after hundreds of years, there was still another Goswami, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a householder. The other Goswamis, they all renounced their household life and they went to Vrindavan and they stayed there and they lived very austere lives. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was a householder, a political figure, a lawyer by profession, a legal practitioner. He had a very big family of 12. I think 10 children plus himself and his wife, family of 12 to cater for big family. Still, he was identified as the 7th Goswami. Why? Because of his surrender. Complete surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the goal. We should think how we can become fully surrendered to Krishna and depend totally on Krishna, depend on Krishna's guidance. Those are the symptoms of surrender. Acceptance of those things that are favorable for devotional service. So a devotee must accept those things that are favorable. And we must reject those things that are unfavorable. There are certain things that help us to make progress in Krishna consciousness, and there are certain things that do not help us. They take us away from Krishna consciousness. So those things should be rejected. Those things that are interfering with our Krishna consciousness, those things that are not allowing us to fully participate in Krishna consciousness, they should be rejected. one should be very convinced. One should be very convinced that Krishna will protect him by all means. Krishna has been protecting, he will continue to protect. And one should take shelter of Krishna as the master, as the guardian. And one should become more and more surrendered. Day by day, we should be trying to become more and more surrendered to Krishna. And the more we become surrendered to Krishna, the more we will become humble, the more we will take a meek, humble position. And all these qualities actually attract Krishna to the jiva, to the soul. And when Krishna is attracted to you, then that is amazing. That is wonderful. That is what we are looking for. We want to attract Krishna by our devotional service. Take slide 23. Performing all endeavors for Krishna. It is stated here that a person who is actually in devotional service must engage in all kinds of activities, those prescribed in the revealed scriptures, and also those which are accepted for livelihood. In other words, not only should a devotee engage himself in the prescribed duties of devotional service, which are mentioned in the revealed scriptures, but he should also perform the duties of his practical life in Krishna consciousness. For example, a devotee who has a great establishment or a factory may offer the fruits of such a material possession for the service of the Lord. So actually, working is not against the principle of bhakti. Having an establishment, a factory, is not against the principle of bhakti. Having a company, a big company, is not against the principles of bhakti. Like Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he was a politician. He was a district chief executive. He was a magistrate, judging people, sitting on the bench. Still, he is considered a Goswami. How is that? Because the result coming from his activities, the results coming from his magistrate service, from his service as a chief executive, district chief executive, was utilized in Krishna's service. The results were offered to Krishna. And so, any devotee anywhere in the world can follow this example. We are not against people establishing businesses. We are not against people working. We are not against people doing something for a livelihood, but the results should be utilized in Krishna's service. That is the perfection of work. Krishna says, Yat karosi, yat asnyasi, yat juhosi dadasi yat, yat tapaswasi kaunteya, tat kuruswa mat arpanam. Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you may perform, O son of Kunti, do that as an offering unto me. So in this verse, Krishna is sanctioning that his devotee can work, yat karosi. And by working, we must be able to eat, because if you don't eat, you'll not get energy to work. A devotee must eat, yat asnyasi. And then sometimes we give out some offering, some charity, we do some charity, yat juhosi. And whatever austerities we may perform, tapasyasi, that should be done as an offering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna is giving us an easy process. Just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give us the chanting of the holy name, which is the easiest process of all the other methods. In Satya Yoga, there is a process of meditation. In Treta Yoga, there is a process of sacrifice. In the Dwarapa Yoga and temple worship, all these are expensive. But in Kali Yoga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the process of chanting, which costs nothing. All that you need, you already have. You need a tongue, you need a mouth, you need teeth. Those are natural gifts given to us by God. At the time of birth, they are offered to you free. You don't have to pay for it. All that you need is to do is to vibrate the sound, the holy name. So, Krishna in this verse is actually giving us the opportunity to engage in activity as we like, but we should offer the results to Krishna. By offering the results to Krishna, the results become purified. And that will go to purify our own life. So that is why Krishna is speaking this verse. Everybody cannot be a renunciate. Everybody cannot be a sannyasi. Everybody cannot be a full-time brahmachari in the temple. But everybody can render service. Everybody can offer the fruit of his activity to Krishna. Everybody can still be connected to Krishna by offering the fruits of our activities to Krishna, just as Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is doing here. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur is a great acharya, very great acharya. Actually, our present Krishna consciousness was envisaged by him. This movement, this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, was envisaged by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And the preaching of Krishna consciousness around the world, it was envisaged by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He said, when will that day come? When the American Vaishnavas, Russian Vaishnavas, European Vaishnavas, African Vaishnavas will join hands with their Bengali brothers and sing and dance together, glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Sri Navadvip Dham. It has happened. Many years ago, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur envisaged this. He also said very soon, a great personality will appear on this planet who will carry Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission across the world. And he was predicting the appearance of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he actually envisaged this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And he envisaged the appearance of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we are grateful. We should show gratitude to Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur for envisaging. And actually, he said all the scriptures, the 6 Goswamis, their scriptures were lost. Even to find Chaitanya Charitamrita, it took him 7 years looking for Chaitanya Charitamrita. But he gathered all these scriptures together and put them together. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and so on. Now we are having access today. It was the hard work of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Ishwaratam kritam hi etat sarvam sarta katam iyat. Tasmat Ishwara sevatam sarva karma charet siddhi. Anything done for the sake of the Supreme Lord brings actual benefit. Therefore, an intelligent man should work for the satisfaction of Krishna. Anything done for the sake of the Supreme Lord brings permanent benefit. Therefore, an intelligent man should work for the satisfaction of Krishna. There is prayers and there is shreyas, immediate result and future result. When we want immediate result, that is called shreya. But prayer is result that will come in the future, and that is permanent. So any wise man should be interested in prayer, results that are permanent, and that is found in Bhakti. Anything we do for Krishna is permanent. Anything we do for this body, we do for family members and the world is not permanent. It will go with time. Time brings it, time takes it. With time, we have this body. With time, we lose this body. With time, we have our jobs, we have our qualifications, we have our businesses. With time, we lose them. But what we never lose is the soul and the activities of Bhakti. Those two things are never lost. That's why Krishna is saying that even a little endeavor on this path will save you from the greatest danger, the greatest calamity. Any little service that we are able to do in Krishna consciousness will save us from the greatest calamity, the greatest danger, because it is never destroyed. Text 24-25. Text 24 and 25. Offering obeisances to the sacred tree, Tulasi tree. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Tulasi tree, which can immediately vanquish volumes of sinful activities. Simply by seeing or touching this tree, one can become relieved from all distresses and diseases. Simply by offering obeisances to and pouring water on Tulasi tree, one can become freed from the fear of being sent to the court of Yamaraj. If someone sows a Tulasi tree somewhere, certainly he becomes devoted to Lord Krishna. And when the Tulasi leaves are offered in devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna, there is the full development of love. 25. Next slide, 25. Benefit of coming in touch with Tulasi. Tulasi is auspicious in all respects. Simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing down before, simply by hearing about, or simply by sowing this tree, there is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with Tulasi tree in the above mentioned ways lives eternally in Vaikuntha. This is found in the Vishnu Purana. So the benefits of worshiping Tulsi cannot be overemphasized. Tulsi is so auspicious. It's so auspicious that simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing down before, simply by hearing about, or simply by planting a seed and watering that seed, anyone who comes in touch with the Tulasi tree eternally lives in Vaikuntha. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada has given us a very powerful process. In fact, many Gaudiya temples, they have adopted this Tulsi Arti that ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada has instituted. Before then, Tulsi Arti was not a practice in the Gaudiya Math. But Srila Prabhupada instituted Tulsi worship. in ISKCON temples. And now all the Gaudiya temples, they're also doing similarly. They are doing the same thing. So Srila Prabhupada understands the importance of Tulasi. He understands that simply by interacting with Tulsi, the living entity is making his way back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada introduced Tulsi Arati in his temples and encouraged devotees to do Tulsi Arati right after the Mangalarati. And also, he also introduced worshiping Tulsi before Sundarati. So twice a day, devotees are supposed to worship Tulsi. Right after Mangalarati, they worship Tulsi, and just before Sundarati, Tulsi is supposed to be worshipped. Why did Srila Prabhupada introduce this? Because he knows the value of doing these things. Tulsi is so auspicious. Just simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by offering prayers, simply by bowing down, and just by hearing about it, there is great benefit. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is so kind that he has given us this process of worshiping Tulsi. In fact, there's this canto also of the Bhagavatam. Yamaraj instructed his constables, the Yamadutas, that if they see anyone wearing a Tulasi neck bead, Kantimala, they should never approach such a person because he is a Vishnu Kinkara. He said, a servant of Lord Vishnu. Anybody wearing Tulsi lead, Tulsi beads around his neck, he told the Yamadutas, they should not look in that direction because he is protected by Lord Vishnu. So Tulsi is such an auspicious plant that even in Vaikuntha planet, Tulsi is used in the service of Lord Vishnu. When the Kumaras, they visited Vaikuntha planet and they smell the aroma of Tulsi offered to the lotus feet of Vishnu, immediately they gave up their impersonal pursuit, impersonal knowledge, and they became Vaishnavas. So Tulsi is actually a spiritual plant. We don't have the eyes to see, but it is a spiritual plant. It is brought down from the spiritual world. And that is why you cannot make any offering to the Lord without putting any Tulsi. Any offering that there is not Tulsi manjaris or Tulsi leaves, Krishna does not accept it. So Tulsi is such an important plant that as Vaishnavas, we honor Tulsi every day because it's so purifying. Text 26.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question there about Tulasi.
Yeah.
When we are offering the boga, the food to Krishna, we put Tulasi in some of the plates, but there are some we don't put Tulasi. First of all, I want to know why and to who the plate we don't put Tulasi, the plate or the cooking we don't put Tulasi on it is to whom is dedicated.
Actually, see, there is some let's say controversy. Some people say when you're offering to the Guru, you should not put Tulsi. But the deity worship ministry says that actually, whatever we are offering to our guru, he will offer it to Krishna. So therefore, even what we are offering to guru, they should be tulsi, because the guru is going to offer it to Krishna. So in the past, this controversy was there, that one should not add tulsi leaves to the plate of the guru. But now it is a standard that even when you're offering the bhoga to the guru, you should put tulsi, because the guru is going to offer that food to Krishna, and Krishna will not take that food if there is no tulsi. So the new standard now is that all the different plates, they should be tulsi. Whether it's for Guru, whether it's for Lord Chaitanya, whether it's for Jagannath, whether it's for Radha Govinda, there should be tulsi inside, because ultimately they are meant for Krishna's pleasure.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. So we can move on to slide 26.
Glories of living or visiting Mathura.
Yes, we can read.
Any persons who becomes attracted to places other than Mathura will certainly be captivated by the illusory energy. In the Brahmananda Purana, it is said that all the results of traveling on all the pilgrimages within the three worlds can be achieved simply by touching the holy land of Mathura. In many sastras or scriptures, it is said that simply by hearing, remembering, glorifying, desiring, seeing, or touching the land of Mathura, one can achieve all desires.
Mathura is a special place. It's a special place. Shamam Invam Paroras. Shamam Invam Paror Rasam. Purimadu Puri Varaha. Vaya Kaishorikam Jayam. Adya Iva Parora Saha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Rupa Goswami that Mathura Puri is the most exalted place. The most exalted place. Why? Because Krishna appeared there. Of all the wonderful places on this planet, Krishna chose to appear in Mathura. And that means that place must be very exalted, otherwise Krishna will not appear there. Just like when the president of America is visiting any country, he doesn't go to a village, he doesn't go to a slum. He goes to the best part of the country. He goes to the capital city of the country, or somewhere close to the capital city of the state standard of capital city, where he can properly be received and taken care of. So when the head of state of a country is going to another country, he doesn't go to a village. He might be taken there for a sightseeing, but actually he goes to the best place. So Mathura is the best place on this planet. And therefore, when Krishna was descending from the spiritual sky, he did not go anywhere else. He went to Mathura. So therefore, here it says that anyone who becomes attracted to other places, either the Mathura, he should be understood that he's captivated by the illusory energy. Actually, Rupa Goswami, in his Upanishadamrita, glorifies the spiritual superiority of Mathura. Vaikuntha Janito Varaha Madhupuri Tatrapi Raso Samat. Vrindavanam Udarapani Radmanat Tatrapi Govardhanaha. Radhakum Ihapi Gokula Pate Premamrita Panavat. Kuriyat Asya Virajato Giri Tate Sevam Vivikena Kaha. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasalila pastimes there. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan, for it was raised by the divine hand of the Lord and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And even above the super excellent, above Govardhan is the super excellent Radhakund, where it is flooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokul, Lord Sri Krishna. Where is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radhakund, which is situated at the foot of Sri Govardhan? So, Mathura is a very exalted place because Krishna appeared there. But even superior to Mathura are the forests of Vrindavan, because Krishna performed so many pastimes in Vrindavan. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan, because Krishna lifted Govardhan with his divine hand and kept the hill on his hand for 7 days and 7 nights. And even superior to Govardhan is Radhakund, where the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna, is overflooded. So therefore, every devotee should desire to visit this Radhakund and take the Charamrita to drink the water of Radhakund and sprinkle some water on his head. So Mathura is a very special place because the Lord appeared there. Slide 27. The importance of serving devotees of the Lord. Slide 27. Lord Shiva tells Parvati, my dear Parvati, there are different methods of worship, and out of all such methods, the worship of the Supreme Person is considered to be the highest. But even higher than the worship of the Lord is the worship of the Lord's devotee. This is found in Vishnu Purana. So, Lord Krishna tells Uddhava that even though a person is a very learned scholar of the Sanskrit Vedic literatures, he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. However, even though a person is born in a family of dog eaters, chandalas, he is very dear to me if he is a pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy the fruitful activity of mental speculation. Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am. Furthermore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Ramananda Raya, Prabhu kahe, to me Krishna Bhakata Pradhane, Tomake ye priti kare say Bhagavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my dear Ramananda Raya, you are the foremost of all the devotees of Krishna. Therefore, whoever loves you is certainly a very fortunate person. Furthermore, he says, Adara Paricharyam Sarvagai Abhivadanam Mad Bhakta Puja Vyadika Sarva Bhuteshu Manmatihi. My devotees take great care and respect in rendering service to me. They offer obeisances to me with all their bodily limbs. They worship other devotees and find all living entities related to me. For me, they engage the entire energy of their bodies. They engage the power of speech in the glorification of my qualities and form. They also dedicate their minds unto me and try to give up all kinds of material desires. Thus, my devotees are characterized. These are the characteristics of devotees. Because the devotees are very dear to Krishna, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying here, to me, Krishna Bhakata Pradane, to make ye priti kare se bhajavan. My dear Ramananda Rai, you are the foremost of all the devotees of Krishna. Therefore, whoever loves you is certainly very fortunate. You know the story that Prataparudra wanted to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu avoided him because as a sannyasi, he's not supposed to meet a king or a politician. So Prataparudra did so many things to get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu kept avoiding him. Finally, to do the king a favor, he said, okay, let your son come and see me. So the king sent his son, who had a dark complexion. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the son of the king, the prince, he was thinking, this is Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj has come to see me. So he embraced the son out of ecstasy. And the son was in ecstasy. And when the son went home, and the father also embraced him, he was also in ecstasy. But something special happened. When Ramananda Raya approached the king to retire from his government service as a governor of South India in order to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, and Prataparudra was very happy with Ramananda Raya. And he told him, you can go on retirement with full salary. I appreciate that you have given up my service in order to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you go and serve him to your heart's content. I am giving you full salary on retirement. Whatever you're receiving as a governor, you continue to enjoy that. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, then his heart became soft. Even though he did not want to meet the king, but when he heard the way he had treated Ramananda Raya, who was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's constant associate, eternal associate, immediately his heart softened. And he was now ready to meet the king. And actually he ended up embracing the king. During the Ratha Yatra parade, when the Lord was tired of dancing, he went to the Vallabha gardens to take rest. At that time, Sarvabhaumacharya, Ramananda Rai, they urged the king to dress like a Vaishnava and go to recite the prayers of the gopis for the hearing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his ecstasy heard the prayer, the songs of the gopis, immediately he didn't even look, he embraced the king before he asked, who are you? And when the king revealed his identity, he was happy because of the service he had rendered to a great devotee like Ramananda Raya. So Serving devotees is actually the greatest thing one can do. Krishna is most pleased when his devotees are served. Krishna also wants to serve his own devotees. So anybody who renders service to the devotees, Krishna is most pleased. It is very difficult to please Krishna because it's unlimited. You cannot please an unlimited personality with your limited efforts. But you can easily please a devotee. And when a devotee is pleased, Krishna is pleased. So the secret of pleasing Krishna is to please his devotees. Next slide. 28. The purifying effect of remembering the activities of a devotee. There is no doubt about one becoming free from all reactions to sinful activities after visiting a devotee or touching his lotus feet or giving him a sitting place. Even by remembering the activities of such a Vaishnava, one becomes purified, along with one's whole family, and what then can be said of rendering service to him. There's no doubt about one becoming free from all reactions to sinful activities after visiting a devotee or touching his lotus feet or giving him a sitting place. Even by remembering the activities of such a Vaishnava, one becomes purified, along with one's whole family, and what then can be said of rendering direct service to him. Lord Krishna tells Uddhava in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shanto Dishanti Chakshamsi Bahir Arka Samutitaha Devata Bhavanta Santaha Santa Admaham Evacha. My devotees bestow divine eyes, whereas the sun allows only external sight, and that only when it is risen in the sky. My devotees are one's real worshipable deities and real family. They are one's own self, and ultimately, they are none different from me. Krishna is telling Uddhava that my devotees bestow divine eyes, therefore they are superior to the sun, because the sun only gives external vision. And it can only do that when it is in the sky. When the sun is not in the sky, it cannot give the vision. So therefore the devotees are the real worshipable deities. They are the real family members. They are one own self. And actually they are none different from Krishna. We cannot see Krishna, but we can see the devotee. So if we can serve the devotee who is very dear to Krishna, we are also serving Krishna. So the purifying effect of remembering the activities of a devotee, just by remembering a devotee, just by speaking about a devotee, just by thinking about a devotee, want to speak of rendering service to a devotee is very purifying, because Krishna is saying that the devotee is not different from him. Actually, it is said that the devotees are, the pure devotees are described as Shakti. They are Shakti Tattvas. That we can see the next slide, slide 29, slide 29. Slide 29 says, my dear Partha, one who claims to be my devotee is not so. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. No one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must approach him through his pure devotees. Therefore, in the system of Vaishnava activities, the first duty is to accept a devotee as spiritual master and then render service unto him. So the criteria of becoming a devotee is to accept another devotee as your worshipable Lord, as the spiritual master, as the guru. Without that, one cannot be a devotee. So that's what Krishna is saying here. Only a person who claims to be the devotee of my devotee is actually my devotee. No one can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. One must approach him through the pure devotees. Therefore, in a Vaishnava system, the first duty is to accept another devotee as a spiritual master and render service unto him. Talvidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that in order to make advancement in spiritual life, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master, and he must render service unto him. He must inquire from him submissively. And by such submissive inquiries, one can make progress on the path of bhakti. So therefore, Rupa Goswami says the first principle in bhakti is Guru Padashraya. That's the first principle. We cannot practice bhakti without accepting the lotus feet of an exalted Vaishnava. We must do that if we want Krishna's favor. Slide 30. Observing Kartik in Mathura. Observing Kartik in Mathura.
The Lord
Somebody
may
like-
offer it.
Yeah.
Observing Kartik in Mathura of Vrindavan, the Lord may offer liberation or material happiness to a devotee. But after some devotional service has been executed, particularly in Mathura during the month of Kartik, the devotees want only to attain pure devotional service unto the Lord. The purpose is that the Lord does not award devotional service to ordinary persons who are not serious about it. But even such unserious persons who execute devotional service according to the regulative principles during the month of Kartik and within the jurisdiction of Mathura in India are very easily awarded the Lord's personal service.
Yeah, so when Dhruva Maharaj wanted to perform his austerity, when his mother told him, you can meet Lord Narayan in the forest, Dhruva Maharaj didn't know where to go. He was an innocent child. But Narada Muni appeared before him. The Narada Muni is the saint among the demigods, the sage, is the universal ambassador of Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna. He knows everything. Sarangya, Trikalagya. He knows past, present, and future. So Narada could understand that this little boy, the son of Uttanapad, wanted to meet the Lord. So he appeared there. And after he tried to dissuade Dhruva from taking to the path of austerity because he was yet too young, 5-year-old boy. But Dhruva was determined, he was steadfast. He would not yield to Narada's guidance, advice. And when Narada was sure that the boy was determined to practice spiritual life, then he asked him to go to Madhuvan. Madhuvan is one of the forests of Vrindavan within the Mathura Vrindavan Mandala area. It's within Mathura region. So Dhruva Maharaj went to Madhuvan, and by performing tapasya for 6 months, Lord Vishnu appeared before him. So performing austerities in Vrindavan, in Mathura, is the quickest way to invoke the mercy of Krishna. And that is why till today, many devotees, they go for their Kartik in Vrindavan. There is a parikram, of course, because of this corona last year. It was only done on Zoom. But for many years, every year, there's an international parikrama. Devotees come together in Vrindavan and they tour all the holy places in the Vrindavan Mathura area for 1 month. For 30 days, they walk from place to place and hear the glories of the holy Dharma of Mathura and Vrindavan, all the holy places where Krishna performed the different pastimes. So by the time you finish the 1 month, during the period of Kartik, you become completely purified, completely transcendental. But because of this corona situation, the last year wasn't done. It was done on Zoom. I don't know what will happen this year. So, but it is recommended in the Mathura Mahatmyam. It is said that just even by spending one night in Mathura during the month of Kartik, one becomes a qualified candidate to return to the spiritual world. Just spending one night in Mathura during the month of Kartik. The month of Kartik is very special. The place of Mathura is very special. So there's two things coming together. Performing Kartik in Mathura, one acquires tremendous spiritual credits that one can reach the spiritual sky just by spending one night. So every devotee shall aspire to observe Kartik in Vrindavan Mathura. Every devotee shall aspire. Slide 31. I think we'll go a little bit longer. I want to end at 33 so that tomorrow we can finish the lesson. So we have 2 more slides. Slide 31.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Oh, you want us to stop here?
Yes, it's 10:33 here, 9:33, I guess, in Ghana.
Yes. I thought last time we were saying that we could extend the class a little bit on Saturdays, not Sundays.
Well, it depends on the students.
Yeah, I think
we all agreed the last time.
the last time
We agreed.
We agreed.
We agreed.
Yes.
Saturdays. So I can go for another 10 minutes. Of course, if some people have some important assignments, once the class is, when the allotted time is over, if it's going to inconvenience you, we don't mind if you leave. But I also want to do another 10 minutes so that I can cover up to 33. And then we reduce the load for tomorrow, because tomorrow I want to, by all means, complete this lesson. Then we only have one last lesson for next week. We have to finish next week, because I'm going to start teaching in other schools after next week and it will be too much if I have to
Yes,
teach into
Maharaj, you can go ahead.
Okay, so the next 7 or 10 minutes, I'll finish these 3 verses and we close. So slide 31, observing festivals, celebrating the Lord's activities. My Lord Janardana, please let us know the date when your mother Devaki Devi gave birth to you. If you kindly inform us about this, then we shall observe a great celebration on this date. O Kila Okeshi, we are souls 100% surrendered unto you, unto your lotus feet, and we wish to please you with our ceremonies. Yata Vaishnava Mahatsavo. We should perform Vaishnava festivals as lavishly as possible, depending on our financial position. Because such elaborate festivals are a glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, observing, celebrating festivals to mark the activities of the appearance of the Lord are glorious for the devotee and also for the Lord. The Lord is happy when festivals are celebrated around his activities. And so that is why we see in great places like South India, Udupi, Ranganath, and many other places, they have big festivals where many elephants and big parades are organized. Similarly, in our Mayapur, where we have 2 elephants, every weekend, there are celebrations. The deities are carried on the elephants and they go around the Mayapur campus. So celebrating occasions of the Lord's activities are very pleasing to the Lord. And therefore, devotees are encouraged to participate. And in fact, finance, according to our capacity, financial capacity, we should make such festivals very elaborate. By making it elaborate, many people will come to know about it. By making it elaborate, we ourselves will become happy. And by making it elaborate, Krishna himself is pleased. Especially this Krishna consciousness is a spiritual culture. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has introduced 3 things: chanting, dancing, and feasting. Actually, this is the best form of worship in Kali Yuga and must be facilitated. When we organize chanting, dancing, and feasting on a large scale, it attracts a lot of people. Everybody likes to dance, everybody likes to sing, and everybody likes to feast. So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understands the mentality of the residents of Kali Yuga. And so he has brought this powerful process. And the devotees, our duty is to magnify all festivals, so much so that many people can participate. If you see our Ratayatra programs in Los Angeles, Ratayatra programs in New York, Ratayatra programs in Chicago, in Australia, and in many places, it attracts a lot of people. They come and chant, they dance, and they take prasadam, and their devotional life begin. So these festivals, celebrating the Lord's activities, are wonderful opportunities to bring many people on board in the service of the Lord. And the devotees have to facilitate that based on their financial strength. The more money we have, the more we should celebrate these things elaborately and bring more people to participate in the service of the Lord. Slide 32, the real meaning of liberation. Mukti means liberation from material contamination. When liberated, one does not have to take birth again in the material world. The impersonalists desire to merge into the spiritual existence to end their individual existence. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Mukti is only the beginning of one's becoming situated in his normal condition. The normal condition of every living entity is to be engaged in devotional service. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanadma, Nasokchati na Kamshati, Sarve Bhuteshu, Man Bhaktim Labate Param. When one becomes free from the designations of this material world, to take birth in this material world means designations. Designation means contamination. Actually, Prabhupada said the body, this material body is a big contamination. The spirit soul does not need the body. It does not need a physical body. The spirit soul is jolly. The spirit soul is blissful in the service of Krishna. But as soon as the spirit soul accepts a material body, then there is a problem. Contamination sets in. So here it says, Brahma Bhuta Prasananmana Sokchatina Kamshiti Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Man Bhaktim Labate Param. So we have to come to the Brahman platform. Then devotional service begins. So Mukti actually means becoming free from the contamination. It's only when we are free from the contamination can we engage in Krishna's service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bhakti Jivan Muktaha Guna Krishna Hana Krishna Bhaje Shukshka Jnane Jivan Mukta Aparade Ado Maje. Those who are liberated by devotional service become more and more attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna. Thus, they engage in his service. Those who are liberated by the speculative process eventually fall down again due to offensive activities. Furthermore, he says, Yenye Ravidaksha Vimukta Maninas Twai Astabhavat Avishuddha Buddhaya Arohya Krichrina Parampadam Tada Patanti Adau Nadritash Yushmat Angrahaya. O lotus-eyed one, those who think they are liberated in this life but are without devotional service to you are simply impure in their intelligence. Although they accept severe austerities and penances and rise to the spiritual position of impersonal Brahma realization, they fall down again because they neglect to worship your lotus feet. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu concludes, Bhakti Bale Praptapta Swarupa Divya Deha Paya. Krishna Guna Krishna Hana Banje Krishna Paya. One who has attained his constitutional position by strength of devotional service attains a transcendental body, even in this lifetime. Being attracted by Lord Krishna's transcendental qualities, he fully engages in service at his lotus feet. So this is the benefit of devotional service. It frees one from the contamination and it brings one to the platform for devotional service. If one just becomes satisfied by mukti, that is liberated from the body, and one is not engaged in Krishna consciousness, again, there is a tendency to fall down from that so-called exalted position. So therefore, liberation means freedom from contamination, and that means the beginning of bhakti, beginning of devotional service. So real liberation means devotional service, because it is that service that links us to Krishna and that takes us to the spiritual world where we engage in our constitutional activity of rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I think we can end here. Then tomorrow we'll begin from 33. It's already 9:50. We're going for 20 minutes extra. So thank you very much for your tolerance. So tomorrow we'll meet again and we'll try to finish this lesson 5 so that we only have to deal with lesson 6 next week.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness. We're very grateful for your time. And actually, we actually want to be pleading and begging for your tolerance because you patiently taking us along this journey. We duly appreciate your transcendental narrations. And we pray that by your mercy, we'll have a power of retention so that we can remember all of these wonderful thoughts that has been spoken.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving the opportunity to render some little service. I'm praying that by serving wonderful devotees like all of you, Krishna will favor me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, all of the devotees, please kindly unmute now. Let us loudly chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and appreciate His holiness.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
All right. Please, last week, was it last week? You said you were going to give us an essay. And last week, because of the Bhakti meeting, so.
Okay. Now you remind me. Tomorrow, remind me. I'm going to write it down now.
All right. Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
We are at the live. We are live again. Touch my heart that we are here with all your favorite
Prabhu, how are you? The mercy of good friends, Prabhupada, okay. Nancy, where are you now? Are you at the temple? Hare Krishna, Salika Prabhu, please kindly end the YouTube session. Please.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Okay, thank you, devotees. Okay, thank you very much, devotees. So bye for today. Hare Krishna.